Welcome to V Studio Cork. My name is Margaret O'Regan and I'm one of the directors of Event Plan and V Studio Cork. I love being from Cork. I have 3 fabulous kids. I love everything to do with GAA. I wear a lot of red and I'm a proud member of Network Cork. There is an exciting agenda booked for you this evening and we expect the event to run for about an hour and a quarter. Just some housekeeping before we get started. As always, your events and social media team would love if you could post throughout the evening using the following hashtags for the evening. We would love to see the event trending using the hashtags Network Cork, backed by AAB, Lead Now and Network Ireland. There will be plenty of opportunity for you to get involved throughout the evening. We'll be running polls and asking you to submit your questions through Slido. Please get involved using the event code hashtag Network Cork. Just to make you aware, this week the events industry is running an events industry awareness campaign. The events industry was the first to close, and with no end in sight, we really do need your support. Please get involved by using the hashtag #ThisIsWhoWeAre. Thank you so much for wearing red tonight. We would like to raise money for Marymount as part of a campaign that is being ran in conjunction with the GAA. Please donate if you can. V Studio Cork is a new business venture and a collaboration between CAVS and Event Plan. The team is made up of Jenny and Elaine and myself from Event Plan, along with Thomas, Michael, Danny from CAVS. The last event Event Plan did was on the 10th of March. Pre-COVID, we were doing approximately 150 events a year, and 2020 was looking like it was going to be a good year for us. From May, we started to receive inquiries about virtual events, and from that, we believed there was a need for a virtual studio in Cork. Located at the Northlink Business Park, V Studio is a virtual event space. Events need to start happening again. We all need to embrace the new normal for now and do a virtual event just like Marguerite and our team are doing here tonight. Before we fully get into tonight's event, we want to congratulate the winners of the Network Cork Awards and wish them every success at the Nationals on the 2nd of October. And here's a little video from your night of the Network Cork Awards.
The winner of the Online Business Transformation category is Ivana Kumar of Himalaya Yoga Academy.
Congratulations, Ivana. How are you? I can see half of your head. Move your camera down slightly there so we can see the rest of you. How are you? Congratulations.
Thank you so much. A little celebration party happening here. Thank you so much.
The winner is Jenny Murphy, Red Balloon. Congratulations.
Jenny Murphy, how are you? Congratulations.
It's great to be able to deliver smiles. I really thought in late March that I was a goner. I really was. So it's really exciting.
The winner is Madeleine Murray, Change by Degrees. Congratulations.
Madeleine Murray, congratulations to you. How are you? Congratulations. How do you feel?
I didn't expect that. Thank you so much, and thank you to the other 2 finalists first and foremost. I'm amazed. Thank you.
I'm delighted to announce that the winner of the Solo Businesswoman category is Maeve Langford, Kaleidoscope Coaching and Facilitation. Well done, Maeve.
Well done, Maeve. Congratulations to you.
I'm delighted to announce the winner of the Transformative Employee category is Linda O'Connell from Society of St. Vincent de Paul. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Linda. Well done. Hello, Linda. How are you? We can't see you. How are things?
Honestly, I'm shocked because I know that every person who submitted an application is a winner, no matter, even if they're not a finalist. So it has been a challenge a couple of months, like everybody else. So I'm kind of speechless. I'm thinking of Miss Congeniality. I want more of this. Yeah.
I imagine she energises the team wherever she goes, keeping up the good spirits. Trudy, the Power Within champion category is Trudy McQuaid from Enable Ireland.
Hey Trudy, how are you?
Congratulations.
Can you hear me? No, unmute yourself. We're at that. We can hear
Hi.
you. Congratulations to you, Trudy. How are you?
I would now like to welcome Marguerite O'Sullivan up on stage. Marguerite is the Innovation and Engineering Manager at Johnson & Johnson and is this year's President of Network Cork. On a personal level, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Marguerite and all the committee at Network Cork for all your support throughout the last 6 months. You all did amazing work this year. You are the perfect example of an organisation who pivoted quickly during these challenging times to ensure their members benefited from training and support. I have thoroughly enjoyed all of the webinars, especially the Margarita and Mayhan one in May, which was a bit of a laugh at the time and when, to be honest, we all needed a bit of life relief. Marguerite, you were and continue to be so supportive to all of us. It was wonderful to receive your handwritten card offering support. It really did lift the spirits. Welcome, Marguerite O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Margaret. Good evening, members and guests, and a special hello to our new members who've joined over the last few months. You are very welcome. I am delighted to be doing an event standing up again. It's been a while, and to be in this fantastic studio. Thank you to Margaret and the team for making this happen. First off, I would like to congratulate our fantastic winners of our Network Cork Businesswoman of the Year Awards. Best of luck in the national event on the 2nd of October in Wicklow. We are celebrating the Cork Double here tonight in conjunction with Marymount. So back in 1990, we brought home the GA Double. Cork is good for trophies, ladies. Let's do the double again and bring a few trophies home to Cork from the National. I am delighted to run this event in partnership with AIB, with Vicki and the AIB team. AIB have always been great supporters of Network Cork, and thank you for backing us and for joining us here tonight. At Network Cork, we have 3 goals. Firstly, supporting you, the members, and the businesses and the network and collaborating together. Secondly, developing ourselves as leaders of our profession and as business owners. And following the theme this year, Lead Now, which is a key focus for me. I am hoping that you will have great peer learning tonight as we continue this journey together. Thirdly, we want to keep Network Cork current, up to date with new learning, new thinking, and better ways of doing things. And tonight, we have invited the fantastic Susan Hayes Culleton to help us to keep the finger on the pulse on money matters. So I'm delighted that Susan has joined us today, and thanks to Louise Bunyan for the recommendation. Susan will be sharing tips, tools, and technology to use and arm us to make better money decisions. We will also hear from some leading professionals in AIB, sharing their insights as part of an engaging and exciting discussion. Tonight, it's going to be very interactive. We'll be using Slido, as Margaret said, and we'll be running polls on Zoom. So have your say, ask questions. We're here to learn from each other. I'm looking forward to making my list of takeaways. And for now, I'll hand back to Margaret. Thank you.
As Network Cork members know, during each Network Cork event, 3 businesses get 1 minute to pitch their businesses. Tonight's pips are Liz Galvin, Managing Director and founder of Your Digital Village, Karen O'Brien, Client Services Manager, Heritage Wealth, Anya McLaughlin, owner of AML Property Services Cork.
Hello. Have you ever wondered how some projects successfully apply for EU or indeed national funding? You've read the headlines. Company X gets awarded 1 million, 2 million euro. I'm Liz Gavin, and I run Your Digital Village. We help businesses and third-level organisations find and apply into EU and national funding opportunities in the research and innovation space. Once awarded, we also help them with their project administration. I've spent 20 years working for the EU in Brussels, and since 2017, I've been helping organisations access EU and national funding opportunities from rural North Cork. To date, we've secured over €6 million in funding across a range of sectors for our clients. Help us to bring more funding to Cork, to Ireland and beyond. If you or someone you know has a project idea which is highly innovative, our website is eurdigitalvillage.com.
Hello, and thank you Network Cork for this opportunity to pitch in person. My name is Karen O'Brien and I'm the Client Services Manager at Heritage Wealth Management Limited. We are a financial firm based in Cork and established in 2015, and we provide financial solutions to our clients, but what we really provide is peace of mind. Our clients tell us that once they've spent time with us organising their financial needs, such as life insurance and pensions, they really can then enjoy the here and now, spending time with their families, safe in the knowledge that their financial future is secure. We have a huge depth of experience and expertise within the business. Our advisors and partners have worked for the leading financial institutions and investment banks globally, and we can now bring that expertise to Cork. As a small firm, we can also offer an extremely personal, tailored and individualised service to every single one of our clients. If you'd like to find out more about what we do or to reach out to us, all of our information and contact details are on our website, heritagewealth.ie. And lastly, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my pitch this evening.
Hi, my name is Anya McLaughlin and I'm the owner of AML Property Services in Cork. So we specialise in residential sales and lettings. Our property management and letting service takes away all the stress and hassle that can come with dealing with your rental property. So this can include carrying out a rental valuation, updating you on any tenancy legislation or any obligations that you may be required to have as a landlord. When advertising the property, we create a video along with professional photographs to advertise the property. When we're finding suitable tenants for your property, we ensure that references are checked and 2 references would be provided by the tenant. Throughout the tenancy, we handle all of the tenants' queries. So this may be something that's broken down, like a wash machine or a leaking shower. They'll contact us and our maintenance team will take care of it. Throughout the tenancy, we ensure that your property is protected by carrying out routine inspections. So if you have any questions in relation to your current rental property, or maybe you're thinking about renting your property, my contact number is 085 86 13338. Thank you.
The theme of tonight's event is Money Matters. It is the lifeblood of a business, and each element of sales, profit and cash flow needs to be given care and consideration. The world of finance is also highly emotive, sometimes boring and sometimes full of jargon. To sort all of this out, we're bringing you Susan Hayes Culleton, the Positive Economist, a Cork woman who will give you some tips, techniques and technologies to give you more confidence and competence with your money. Take it away, Susan.
Well, hello everybody, and I'm so proud to be here today in my hometown of Cork. I have to say, I don't know of any other part of the world that has made the innovation happen in the way in which that you're watching here tonight. I have to say, I was coming down the road today from Dublin and I was just thinking, oh, I just love when I know that there's only 99 kilometres left and you slightly go up the hill up to Cashel and then you slightly come down, and particularly when you hit Dunkettle. So it really is lovely. It's truly lovely to be here, but I truly mean it. I'm so proud of what Cork is doing. To be able to see the way Network Cork has come together to be able to support people, to be able to support a local business like VE Studios, to be able to make a variety of things happen, all of the innovation that you see, but most importantly, taking care of Cork, because Cork will then take care of you. So indeed, thank you so much indeed for that lovely introduction, Marguerite. It was lovely to hear that delivered in such dulcet tones. Have to tell you, right, we were on a Zoom call earlier on in the week. Well, we got about 30 seconds in before we realised that I actually went to school, secondary school, with Marguerite's sister. And I quote, she said, well, you know, Susan, there is half a centimetre of a degree of separation when it comes to Cork. And you know what, already I can hear my accent returning to the way it should have been all along. So it's really, as I say, lovely to be here. Now, I am very conscious that we're living in extremely different times and people are having very different experiences of what life has been like. So the thing is tonight is all about you. You're driving the bus and we're going to make sure that you get your questions answered and your thoughts are fed right through. So let's start off with our very first poll. So the first poll that we wanted to put to you is, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about the way in which all of this is working right now? So are you feeling very excited? And the road ahead, it actually looks full of opportunity. Possibly you had a shock at the beginning, you've had to readjust and so on. Or does it feel very uncertain? Naturally enough, because we're doing this live, I was listening to the news probably the same way as you were, and we've 5 different levels and we don't know what's going to happen. And naturally, certainly for certain sectors, they're not going to know what's going to happen very, very clearly over the next side. Or is it full of concern? Is it that you've had a very, very tough 6 months and you don't know ultimately what's coming? So that is why, first of all, we want to set the tone. We want to hear how you're feeling. So right now, I can actually see the numbers. They're appearing right up here in front of me. And I can tell you the various different percentages. So we're just going to give another moment, and I'm just going to tell you, I'm fortunate I got to do financial maths and economics when I was in college. So what I'm going to tell you is, I'm going to tell you very, very quickly, actually, the way the ratio has gone. So of the numbers of people that have voted, we've had 46 of you that say that you're very excited. 39 of you, that has now dropped to 38, in fact. 38 of you are saying that you feel uncertain, and 17 of you are feeling concerned. And that is, in fact, that has now dropped to 16. As I say, we are going live, so this is going to be a very, very dynamic evening. So what that's telling me is that the tone is positive, we're feeling good, yet there is a certain sense of uncertainty, and of course, naturally, there is a sense of concern. So, okay, let's deal with that. What I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to talk to you about 5 key areas before we have a very exciting panel to talk to you about a plethora of areas to do with finances. I'm going to talk to you about revenue, revenue is sales, revenue, profit, cash flow. I'm also going to talk to you briefly about the stock market, and then I'm going to take the mystery away from pensions. So whether you're working in your own job right now and you're wondering about your personal finances, or you're running a business and you're wondering about what the road ahead looks like and you want to make the most of it, tonight absolutely is for you. So settle back and really enjoy. And of course, you can send in your questions at any stage. There is a really talented team right in front of me here. You can't see it, but they're right in front of me here who will make sure that your questions are fed up to me right here in front of me on this screen. So let's start off with sales, okay? This often is the area that people say they're most concerned about because they're not sure about how do you generate new business, particularly in what 38 of you have told us is a very uncertain environment. So what about the 46 who are very excited? And how do we assuage the concerns of the 16 who feel that concern? Well, let me tell you what I've been doing. Back in the middle of March, unfortunately, I had a similar story enough to what you heard Margaret say, is that we have one of our businesses is called Savvy Teen Academy. It's a summer camp focusing on careers, communication, and confidence. And then we also run transition your work experiences for companies. So I'll tell you one detail about this and you'll see what happened. What we do is we take 30 teenagers every week, or most weeks, into a company and we give them a range of peer learning activities so they get used to the business. That took 6 years to build. 36 hours made it disappear, just like that. Just like that. And if that was our only business, we were gone, finished, 36 hours. So what do? Well, for a start, you dig deep and you think, okay, well, this can go, or else we try to pivot and we move forward. And one of the things that we really had to do was we had to embrace technology and we had to make it different. So since then, we have gone on, we've run an entirely virtual system now, and thankfully, all of our customers are back and we're excited to welcome hundreds of teenagers virtually in an occasion like this over the year ahead. But the key thing is that we had to think differently, and we also had to think in terms of partnership. How could we work with our clients to deal with what they wanted to achieve? How could we leverage technology? How could we partner with technology? And most of all, how could we show our clients that they could trust us in order to take care of the concerns that they had? So perhaps that's in fact the way in which you're feeling this evening, is that things really change really, really quickly. And how do you do that? How do you partner? Okay, well, I'm going to say that there's 2 things you can do. One is you can partner with the known. This is where you can look at known tools and get familiar with them. We've all become Zoomified over the past 6 months. We're all absolutely right up there when it comes to Microsoft Teams or a range of these tools. So what you can do is simply use your network, like here in Network Cork, and go to other people and say, well, what tools are you using, or what techniques are you finding? Or maybe even put it out to the network, who might be interested in partnering with me to find a new way to move forward. Or else you can go outside of your network. And let me tell you about something that most people don't know about, and that is Enterprise Europe Network. It's an organization where you've got the entire enterprise architecture of Europe all in under this roof. And their touch points are the chambers of commerce and the local enterprise offices all over the country. So right here in Cork, you have an Enterprise Europe Network contact point through Cork Chamber, as well as all of the LEOs. So here is a story that happened to me that is enabling us, that is allowing us to move forward in a partnership to grow sales in an entirely different direction in the days ahead. So I'll tell you what happens is Enterprise Europe Network, among many things, have this database where people create a profile and they say, we want to partner with somebody else to do something. It might be to distribute their product. It might be to apply for research funding. Or, as happened in my case, serendipitously, in my case, where actually somebody can partner with you to create an entirely new entity. So let me tell you something that I had been noticing about one of our businesses for the last while. We run a business called BeckSearch, and what it does is it enables peer learning through a matching algorithm. So we match people together based on what they know and what they want to know. We put them together. The only problem is that to figure out what people know, they have to tell you what they know. And plenty of research tells us that actually people will misdiagnose that. So therefore, we needed to find a way to remove self-assessment bias from our algorithm. So I was thinking and thinking and thinking, and I was, put it out to people, and I've gone to a range of different entities about how we could handle this. And then one day, I got an email in from Enterprise Europe Network to tell me a company from Italy, Northern Italy, in fact, sent in an email saying they like the idea of what our algorithm does, and they have a tool that actually removes self-assessment bias on 7 soft skills. Since then, I have had 5 Zoom calls with Lucilla, and we're currently in advanced stages of putting our 2 platforms together so that then we can upsell, we can find each other's customers, and also we can sell each other's software to our own customer pool as well. So if you're looking for new opportunities to partner with people, as I say, you can look into your network, or alternatively, you can look outside of your network. And particularly what you need to do is find people who are interested, who are motivated, who are actively looking for you. So what I suggest you do is reach out to Enterprise Europe Network. They will help you to create a profile. That will help serendipity. And also, it will enable you to access the 25,000 plus other profiles on that network. And of course, the other thing is that it can be your first step or an advanced step towards exporting. So what I would say to you is when it comes to growing your sales, don't do it alone. Don't do it alone at all. Don't feel alone. You're a member of Network Cork. You couldn't possibly be on your own. So instead, look to your network and think, who can I partner with? Or who out there is looking for somebody to partner with? And take it from there. So look into Network Cork, look into Enterprise Europe Network, and you can do that through the LEOs or also Cork Chamber as well. So that's revenue. That's a way in which you can grow your sales. Now, I know based on what Margaret, what they're both all about. They're both about enabling technology to help members, and also how can we look into the innovation that's all around us to build our businesses and our careers and our business models going forward. So now for the second time, I'm going to run another poll, and I'd just like to hear your thoughts on technology. So the questions that I have put to you is, technology, what do you think? Is it a super enabler? Does it enable you to do things and get things done better than you've ever looked at before? Is it handy? You use it and it takes away problems and it's a productivity booster and so on like that. It's there. You probably, if you had a bit more time, you'd probably be a bit more proactive. It's grand. Look, I have to use it if I have to use it. If I can't meet someone for a coffee in the Kingsley or in Maryborough House or wherever, well then look, we'll just go on Zoom and that's that. So is it, it's grand. Or is it, look, it gets in the way. It gets in the way, and get rid of it as soon as we can get rid of it. Then let's do that, and let me just get back on to my offline world. So that's the poll that I'd like to right now run. The technical team are running that right now, and it'd be really interesting to hear your thoughts on technology. Right, well, the numbers are already starting to come in here. It's pretty clear to me what you are. So I'm just going to wait until all of them appear. Now, I have to tell you, right, as I say, this is running out live. To the absolute credit of the VE team here tonight, they are constantly updating the figures in front of me so that they can bring the most live data to me. Now, let me tell you what's just appeared on my screen. Nobody has picked the last option, which is that it gets in the way. Nobody. Okay, I like that. 5 of you have said it's grand, 32 of you have said it's handy, and 62 of you have said that it's a super enabler. Okay. Actually, in fact, sorry, they've updated again. That's 62% of you. 32% of you said it's handy. 5% of you said it's grand, and 0% of you said it gets in the way. Okay, right. I know who I'm talking to now. So when it comes to profit, I now want to talk to you about that. So profit is simple, right? It's revenue minus expenses equals profit. Increase your revenue, decrease your costs. What's the problem? Well, of course, as we all know, it's not often as simple as that. And you know, I'm really struck actually by, I have to say, I'm a huge admirer of the human race in its own right, but I'm incredibly admiring of people who take the initiative to make the best of what they've got. And if there's ever a nation that has done that over the past 6 months, I have to say, I'm truly, as I mentioned, I'm truly proud to be Irish and even more so proud to be from Cork. But when you look at the business and the entrepreneurship community, even further, I would have to say, the amount of innovation that has been shown over the past couple of months is immense. And that poll is telling me exactly the same, is that you are embracing it and you are taking it on. But the thing is, if we were to look at McKinsey or Harvard Business Review or listen to podcasts, that's what I do when I drive, a lot of them would say, now is the time to invest. And some of you might say, invest? Not really sure about that now at the moment. Like, we don't really know what's coming and it's been really hard, and how do we know that, you know, money is going to be there and all that sort of thing. I'm not sure about investing now, Susan. Not really sure. It's all right for the like of these Harvard Business Review sort of a crowd to be coming out with that sort of thing, but I'm not sure. Well, again, and you're going to hear me say this a lot tonight, you're not on your own. You shouldn't have to do this on your own. So what I'm now going to tell you is about how you can invest but not your own money. Now later on we're going to have a panel with AIB where we are going to talk about investing your own money. But in this case I'm going to show you how to mobilise the government's money in such a way that you help society, you help your business and you help yourself. So back 4 years ago now, September 2016, I was in Dubai. I was on a trade mission in Dubai. I go on a trade mission every year. This year, my one is virtual. There are actually virtual trade missions that happen. But every year, I go on a trade mission for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's build international sales relationships. Sometimes it is just to see how other countries are doing things. There's a range of reasons. But anyway, this year, I went to Dubai. I went to Dubai. It was a trade mission focusing on women, women in business in Dubai, Abu Dhabi and Sharjah. And I went and I got an idea there at the time that simply has since been the root of what BECSearch is all about, the peer learning algorithm. However, if I came home and I said, right, I'm now going to spend a couple of months looking into this and maybe investing in some sort of technology or some, in an area I hadn't a clue about, by the way, I just got an idea. It could have brought down the business. It certainly could have brought me down, or else it wouldn't have happened. Now, the government doesn't want that to happen. So here's something that they do, again, that very few people actually do something about. It's called the Innovation Partnership Feasibility Study. This is a €9,000 grant that is available to companies in such a way where the money doesn't go to the business. This is €9,000 that moves from the government through Enterprise Ireland into a university like UCC or CIT. And that €9,000 goes towards around about 3 months of a salary for a research assistant. So what you're doing by applying for this is actually creating employment for somebody who may be just graduating from their master's. And you're getting money from EI into a university. It doesn't, and all you have to do is mobilise it. The form is maybe 5 or 6 pages long. It's really not that difficult. And we applied for that back in 2016. So what the purpose of that was to look into an idea. So I'm sure lots of you have had ideas that you thought, well, if only we could do this, wouldn't that actually make a whole lot of difference? If, for example, if you're Margaret O'Regan, you certainly would have. So therefore, Margaret O'Regan, you certainly would have. You would have said, right, well, imagine if we could turn an environment like this into a studio where people can beam out at world-class technology levels. But the thing is, lots of you may have had that thoughts, but you may not have known necessarily either how to fund it or where to get the time in order to really look into this. So the Innovation Partnership Feasibility Study gives you 3 months of time from somebody who is very talented. And you know what else? Is it's up to the university to recruit them for you. So you don't even have to find the person. So you get access to a talent pool who is just straight, potentially out of college or through their network. You get access to the funding for that person, and you get access to the resources of the university, which includes their library, their network, and so on and so on and so on. And in fact, also their history of dealing with Enterprise Ireland if you want to move on. So anyway, we did this, and after that we decided, yes, we wanted to go further, and then we applied for the Innovation Partnership. Now that is up to 200,000. It's a bigger fund. You do have to put some money in there, and I could go on and on about that, but I know it would be relevant to everybody. And therefore, after that then, we decided to license the technology created, and we had a very good partnership agreement with the university. Do you know what the beautiful thing about this is? It's not restricted to once. We now have our second one. We applied for this before Christmas. We got approved in March, and Alice, who's from South Korea, who has moved to Dublin, she just finished a master's in e-commerce, is, as I speak, is now currently finishing our feasibility, where we're now moving into a whole other area of the business that can unleash not just new profitability for us, but also for other companies, that we're going to bring a solution that will solve a big problem as far as we're concerned. So the thing is that you may see, okay, I have an idea that could make a huge difference to our customers and to our business and to me, but I haven't got the time and I haven't got the money. Don't do things alone. Do not do things alone. Look into the Innovation Voucher, the Innovation Partnership Feasibility Study, or the Innovation Partnership itself, and create employment. Create employment as a result of it for the people who are coming out of college, and bring funding into the universities. Maybe it's not in Cork, maybe it's beyond, but it's certainly possible. And that's a way, certainly, that you can boost your profitability along the way. Now, the third area that I'm going to move into, and I'm going to do this really quickly, is cash flow, because I also want to make sure that I cover all aspects of what I promised this evening. But before I do, let's now run our third poll. And I just would really like to hear which is of the most concern to you. Is it revenue? Is it sales? Or is it cash flow? When I say concern, that could also be a good thing. It could also be of which area is of most interest to you as well. So revenue, sales, or cash flow, which is the biggest one for you? Because I'm going to give you a very, very good idea that I find with cash flow. It's made all the difference to me. But if cash flow is a bigger concern, I'll add in a couple of other elements along the way there. So right now, I believe that the poll is running. And the team here are just collecting your responses. So wherever you're tuning in from, if you're in from Mallow, my native Dripsey, or Coachford, where I went to school, if you're from Fermoy or Glanmire, it's amazing. Or of course, if you're beyond Cork, maybe instead that you're from a very different part of the country, you're from a different network entity right around the country, or maybe in fact you could be from outside of Ireland. You're extremely welcome, and we really do want to hear your thoughts. Okay, the results are in. The results are in, and quite interesting, almost an even split, almost. So we have revenue at 32%, profit at 38%, and cash flow at 29%. Okay, well, I'm going to give you one cash flow idea, and I'm going to give you a second one that actually uses your cash flow to help your profit. As I say, we want you to be in the driving seat here this evening. And of course, another point is, please do send in your questions. We're going to have a Q&A with me here, where your questions are going to appear on the screen, and then also with the panel here. I'm not referring, those empty chairs will be very full shortly, don't worry. So, cash flow, two quick things. Number one, the most anxiety-reducing thing that you can possibly do if you're running a household or running a business is to have a cash flow statement. Now, I don't mean a fancy-dancy accounting statement where you need to pay a fortune to an accountant to do it. For all of you accountants tuning in tonight, you're absolutely well worth it, and I'm sure you'd agree with me in what I'm going to say. So I'm not taking business away from you. I'm absolutely telling people to do something that I'm sure you would recommend. And that is, when you actually document simply on an Excel spreadsheet, simple as, is simply document when you expect money to come in and when you expect money to go out in chronological order. Because let's say that I am going to generate 10,000 euros in sales between now and Christmas, and it's going to cost me 4,000 euros in costs. Brilliant. 6,000 in profit, isn't it? Well, yes, but what if the 4 grand has to go out before the 10 grand comes in and I don't have the 4 grand to go? What do I do then? You see, that's why cash flow really, really matters. It really matters. So therefore, here's what I suggest you do, is that you simply, and just take your time to do it, right? Simply sit down with a spreadsheet some night, or day, or whenever. And I love to do it with an Americano and a purple snack, I have to say. So anyway, that always helps. So sit down and simply document when you think money is going to go out and when you think money is going to come in, and just in chronological order, right? I'll tell you why this reduces anxiety, is if there's a problem, If there's a problem there somewhere, number one, if you go into, for example, AIB, who are sponsoring the event here this evening, if you go into AIB and you tell them you know when there's a problem, they're far more likely to have trust in you that you understand the nature of your business, and it builds rapport with the bank. If you don't believe me, ask them when they come up at the panel. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right. But the point I'm making is that you'll know then. You'll know, okay, I don't need to worry today. Maybe we need to be concerned in 3 months' time. Right, so what we need to do is go and talk to the bank now to make sure that we have the short-term finance in place. Or, okay, maybe what we need to do is we need to change our expenses to where they go out further. Or, maybe what we need to do is follow up on the invoices outstanding. And you might say, but does all of this apply just to a company, Susan? No, 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 no. No, it doesn't. To a household as well. A similar idea is simply document. And you can go to consumerhelp.ie for help with this, for anybody who wants to use a range of tools in order to do that. And simply, it will just help you to document chronologically, very, very, very simply, just document when money is expected to come in and when money is expected to go out. And that's the first thing I did. The first thing I did after that Savvy Teens business disappeared, because I was looking at a serious hole. I was looking at a hole in the cash flow, a hole in the bank account, and a hole in the profit and loss statement. This is not good. And that's what I did. That is how I simply made sure that we stopped and that we saw what was actually happening. And then I thought, okay, how do we now build a sales pipeline to respond to that? How do we do things differently? But it just puts you in a much better frame of mind. So that's one way, is simply look at your cash flow, and then you can make objective, clear decisions. And it helps your relationship with a bank or any other financial stakeholder. Now, the second thing I'm going to tell you about cash flow, this is so simple. So simple. I have saved a fortune with this. There have been times when I want to do business with someone, but I couldn't afford what they were asking, or else it just didn't fit in with our business, and I just didn't think, right, if to pay that much would be quite worth what we need to do. So here's what I do, is that I use the cash flow to get a better price. So I will say to someone, okay, so somebody says to me, I want to, we're going to charge, again, let's keep the figure round, €1,000. And I'd say, we have 800 in the budget. Will we meet at 9? And I'd say, how about this? I will pay you €800, but on the day that you send the invoice. No credit terms. That has often, number one, reduced the price for me, in line with what I had anticipated. And number two, it's also built a relationship where somebody said, well, actually, yeah, God, that'd be great. So actually, if you have cash, use it to reduce your prices. Because a lot of people assume that you're going to pay, that it's going to take 30 days or 60 days in order to fulfill it. So if you can deliver right on time, use it. Use it in order to reduce your expenses and therefore use your cash flow to increase your profit. That's the way in which to do it. Now, I'm going to move from here because I've now focused primarily on businesses, and I'm aware that there's a lot of people tuning in here this evening who will be looking at this from a very personal point of view. So let's get personal here. Let's talk personal finance for a while. Two things I'm going to talk to you about. One is the stock market, and the other area is pensions. I'm going to do this quite briefly. And then, as I say, please do send in your questions. More than happy to take those, and I will be taking those in around about 5 minutes. So, first thing I'm going to say on the stock market is, I know people feel that it can be a really big, scary entity where, you know, it just sucks money in and spits money out, and you don't really know how it's going, and it collapsed in March, and then it seemed to rocket up again in April. Like, what's the story? Okay. The stock market is simply, very, very simply, it's a big shop full of, instead of goods and services, it's pieces of companies. The stock market is like Merchant's Key for various different companies that are willing to sell pieces of themselves to other people. That's what it is. It's simply a shop. And the shopkeeper is a stockbroker. Their job is to connect you with the company, right? That's what it is. Now, is it a risky place? Yes, certainly, in the very short term. So for any of you that play poker, I learned how to play poker over the lockdown for the crack. Learned a lot about myself during it now, I have to say. It's a lot of strategy. It really was. It was like doing a course. It was like doing a course of personal reflection. But anyway, I learned how to play poker. But you know what intrigues me, right, is the entertainment that somebody can get, or a group of people can get, from literally money just circling around the table. So let's say everybody comes to the table. 4 people come to the table to play poker, €20, €20, €20, €20. And by the end of the night, or the end of the day, or whenever, that money has basically moved around so that one person has got it. No new money comes into the table. It's basically circulating money around, and it just goes to one place. The stock market is different. You see, the stock market is actually a piece of a company. Now, none of you work in companies that aim to make a loss. None of you. None of you have set up companies where you think you might make a loss. So what happens is companies aim to make a profit. Not all of them do, not all of them survive, but over the long term, on average, companies do better than, let's say, putting your money on deposit or putting your money into the bond market and so on. So the idea of the stock market is that you're investing in companies that aim to generate a higher rate of return on their resources than putting money simply on deposit. And over the long term, now when I say long term, I'm talking 10 years, and what I'm about to tell you is true for the last 100 years, is that on average, the return of the stock market is about 10 to 12% per annum, on average. That means some years can be really good, and some years can be really bad, and some years can be meh, and some years within the year, like 2020, can go down and up in the same time. But the point I'm making is that over the long term, when you invest over the long term, that is ultimately what you're looking at. Now, I am not here tonight to encourage you to get involved in the stock market or to think about maybe you should get into stocks. I'm simply here tonight to demystify it, to say that it is certainly an option that is on offer, and it's a one that can be really super cheap to get into. Because what a lot of people aren't aware of is actually the fastest growing financial product in the world. And because you're a technology focused audience, as we've now learned, is the fastest growing financial product in the world is called an exchange traded fund. It's simply a fund that tracks the entire stock market. That's it. No fund manager, no, will I buy Colgate or should I sell Kellogg's? Nothing like that. It's simply a fund that tracks the entire stock market. That's it. It simply tracks the market. So a couple of years ago, my mum rang me, and she said, by the way, she's rang me since a couple of years, just to be fair. But she rang me and she said, I've 2,000 euros in an account, it's not really doing anything. What do you think I should do? And I said, Mum, I don't want to be getting into a conversation around should we buy in Asia Pacific and you know what she told me? I'd love to go to Asia. And I said, okay, all right, stop there now. So I said, do you know what we'll do now, Mum? What we're going to do is we're going to put this into simply tracking the world stock market. That's all. That's all that's to it. We're not going to be deciding what area, we're not going to be deciding what sector, we're not going to be deciding any of that stuff. We're simply going to find a fund that tracks the entire stock market. So I found an exchange traded fund that simply tracks the S&P 100 Global Index. And you might say, oh, what the hell is all of that? So S&P is the name simply of a list which is called Standard & Poor. And it's simply, I keep using the word simply because it's simple. And that is that it simply holds the top 100 companies in the world in terms of size. So when I say the top, I don't mean the best. I mean the largest 100 companies in the world are in this fund. So she had shares, so in this it had Disney and McDonald's and Microsoft and Apple and Facebook and Google and all that. And that's it. So the fees involved in this was something like maybe 0.4%. So for every 100 euro that Mum put in, it was about 40 cents in fees. And what return do you think she has got since then? Exactly. 10 to 12% per annum since I did it, despite the rises and despite the falls. So that is the way, if you're going to look at the stock market, I would say rather than get into the nitty-gritty of stocks versus this and sectors and all that, leave that to the people who really love it. But to keep it truly simple is that what I suggest you do is, number one, think long-term. Number two, look at something like an exchange-traded fund, and then you buy those through a stockbroker. You don't necessarily have to go to any particular agency or anything to do that. And when I say buy through a stockbroker, for me to buy that for Mum, I think the cost was maybe $15 for the transaction fee, and then the fees themselves were 40 cents per 100 euro. And that was it. She's tracking the world stock market since. Simple as. And some people say to me, well, yeah, that's fine, Susan, but when do I sell? Sell when the reason you bought is no longer there. That's the way it works. And of course, again, feel free to send me in questions. You can send me, if you send a tweet as well to Network Cork, I'll happily respond. I'll come in behind it and so on like that as well. I'll happily do all of that. But the last thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to open up the floor to questions, well, the digital floor, that is. So I'm just going to ask the team to pull up Slido and to pull up the questions there on the monitor as soon as they can. And what I'm now just going to tell you is that, in particular, the way in which to look at pensions are very simple. Again, they are very simple. It is simply a wrapper. It is simply a wrapper around certain money which you can't get at until you retire. However, again, going back to the government. So, by the way, I wrote the economics textbook for Leaving Cert twice with 2 teachers who teach here in Cork. One is now a lecturer at CIT, actually. But so I'm very focused in understanding why the government puts things in place in order to encourage people to do things. So, what the government does is it incentivizes us to put money into this wrapper, okay, just into this wrapper that we can't get at until you retire. But also, the other thing that it encourages us to do is that it gives us money back when we do so. So let's say that I have €100. I earn €100. Let's, again, keep things simple. €100, take away taxes, I now have 50 left. I have 50 that I put into my pocket, and I can go and I can spend in any given shop in Cork. Right. Then what happens? Well, then that's that. I simply have my after-tax money and I go and I spend it. But if I put it into a pension, that's different. Because then I would take the €100, and instead of the government taking the taxes away, it goes in what we call gross. It just goes straight across. So then the money goes into the pension, so there's no tax comes off it, and therefore it stays there. And that is called tax relief. That is all that it is. So there's actually, for any of you that don't have a pension, you are leaving a lot of money that the government is very happy to give you, tax-free. Very happy to give you the tax back that you would pay on this. That is what you're actually holding back on. And the other thing here as well is that when, I'm going to call them investments, but it could be, you can invest your pensions in any type of an asset. But as it grows and as it receives income, maybe you invest in an ETF, right? And an exchange traded fund like I mentioned. If you invest in that, you might get a dividend, and the share price you'd expect would rise. You'd hope it would rise over time. Over time, of course. Well, all of that grows tax-free as well. Let me go back to me with my €50 in my pocket. So I earn €100, €50 of that is taken away in taxes, €50 goes into my pocket. And then, after that, I decide that I'm going to put some of that into an ETF. I do, and after that I make a gain. Then I have to pay capital gains tax. And if I get an income on that, then I have to pay income tax. Whereas if you put it into a pension, the income and the capital gain are both tax-free. So there's another tax benefit. So when you put money into a pension, you get money back in the first place, the money that you would have paid in tax. And then the way it actually works is that they never tax it at all, but just to explain the concept. Secondly, as it grows tax-free. And then as you take it out, when you retire, according to the pension age and rules at the time, then you can take 25% of it out tax-free as well. So therefore, that's the way it works. Now, you still may say, well, I know, but I just don't feel comfortable. I'd love to know, I'd love to be able to just pick up the phone and ring someone where they're not trying to sell me something, or where I could trust them, or where I could say, you know what, tax relief, tell me that again. Well, you can. And this is from the Pensions Authority has a website and a hotline and a range of really easy materials that are available there for you. That's what it's there for. And your taxes have paid for that. So I mentioned two different elements tonight. I mean, number one, I gave you one, for example, I told you about consumerhelp.ie, and number two is also the Pensions Authority. They're both super, super helpful websites that can be really helpful to have that at your hand, according to whether you need it for personal finance or whether you need it for pensions. But definitely go and do that. And the last thing I'm going to say before we go over here to the questions, the last thing I'm going to say is that due to the fact that we're all living much more digital lives, I really did see that there was a gap around particularly what I'm really delighted to speak about tonight, which is women and investing. And when I say investing, I mean across the board. I don't just mean investing in the stock market, I mean investing in themselves and just generally investing. So I've launched, when I say I've launched, it's been sponsored by a company in the States called VectorVest. I've launched a new show on YouTube called Fantastic Female Fridays that is totally dedicated to women and investing. So any of you can tune into that at any stage if you simply search on YouTube. So I'll tell you, for example, over the last couple of months, I have looked at how to teach your kids about money, setting effective financial goals and so on. And just because you're here tonight, I just want to give you a sneak peek into what's coming. I'm also going to have, one of the episodes is going to be about how to read a balance sheet. That just fills me with delight. And I'm not even joking. I just love accounts. I think they're great things altogether. We're going to have, actually, the episode that had the most engagement was actually how to talk to your kids about money. So I'm going even more closer to heart now. In a couple of weeks' time, I'm also going to have an episode about how to talk to your partner about money as well. So that there's lots more to come. So throughout all of that, through the revenue and the cash flow and the profit as well as the pensions and the stock market. I hope that you've got something from what I've had to talk to you about tonight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take 1 or 2 questions, and after that then we're going to bring up our panel. So the first question that I see up here is, what is the biggest barrier that you face in your job and business? Okay, let's talk about that. The biggest barrier that I face is that there's only one of me. If only I could multiply myself by about 4, I could do so much more in the world. I don't think my husband could handle that though, to be fair. So let's not try and do that. But you know what, that's actually, I have also to tell you that I've often found my greatest barrier is what pushes my back against the wall to find the greatest source of innovation. I have become by far a better delegator in the past 6 months because I've had to be. I've had to think more I've had to think differently. And like I told you, from March, I had to really dig deep and find how could we really rescue this business and move forward. And I'm really grateful to say that we've done it. But it just meant, obviously, had to work harder, had to go out further, had to build the pipeline harder than ever, and therefore I needed more. But I'm not really sure that I had more to give. In fact, if anything, I really had to work at how to find more resources around me and to put them into better works. So I'll tell you what I did. Number 1, we applied for the business continuity voucher, and thankfully we got it, and that was really helpful in terms of helping me out about how I could become a better delegator, but also how I could be better in terms of business generally. The second thing is that when you really have to delegate, when I was thinking the wrong way, and I had to reframe my thinking. And what I started thinking, at the beginning I was thinking, what can I delegate to somebody? Wrong question. Wrong question. It was, what do I have to do, and how can I delegate the rest? In other words, how can I delegate everything and only hold on to what I really have to do? And that was a help. So the thing is that I found that was truly helpful when it came to me interacting with myself, I suppose you could say. So when it came to that, it was actually really helpful to understand and to really push myself harder. And the second thing that I just want to mention on that point, and then we're going to bring up our panel because I can see them getting ready there in front of us. Second thing is that I'll tell you a problem I ran into, right? And lots of people have told me that this resonated with them since I've admitted to it. But when we ran our first virtual Savvy Teens, do you know what I kept doing is I kept trying to recreate what they had in the room before. I kept trying to think, well, okay, how do I recreate the group dynamic? Oh, do you know what I'll do? I'll put them into breakout rooms. And I was asking myself the wrong question because I kept going back to normal, back. This pandemic doesn't let us go back. Instead, by very close to about the first day and a half of when we ran our first one, I said, you know what? I need to think about how can I completely engineer an entirely new experience, levering what we never had in a physical environment. That's what I need to do. And when you ask yourself that question, when you ask yourself, how do I stop thinking about going back to normal, but how do I do things better than ever? You might actually surprise yourself with the way in which that you can do things that you never thought possible. And speaking of that, it is now, I want to show you exactly what that means if you are working here in VE Studios. Because here, I cannot describe to you what it feels like to be here in among what I can imagine what this place was a couple of months ago and what it is now. This place is top class. It is at international best class standards. The way in which the production team work together, the lighting, the sound, the process, the running order, the whole lot. It is just amazing what they've done here. But it really would be awful if only we saw that here. So now, here's a video so that you can get a sense of what it's like to be here tonight and hopefully in times when you come here too. extremely welcome to our panel here this evening. As you can see, we're all being very, very socially distant, and I can see myself on the screen, by the way. I'm edging out here altogether, but that is simply because, of course, we really do respect what has to happen. And again, it's a credit to VE Studios that they've enabled us to do this. So I couldn't give enough credit to these three women, of course, coming from the company that they come from. So what I'm going to do is, Una, I'm going to start with you. Would you mind telling us a little bit about you and what you do, and then we're going to go to Anne-Marie and Noreen.
Yeah, perfect. And hi, everybody. Una Connolly is my name, and I'm working in AIB for the last 21 years. So I've had a number of jobs throughout my career over the last number of years, and I suppose it's been a lot in retail banking. I was a financial advisor for 10 years, and then I moved into branch banking for a number of years, where I was branch manager in a couple of branches, most recently in Douglas. And 16 months ago, I took up my current post, which is regional manager for customer financial planning. So a lot of what you were mentioning earlier in your talk really resonated with me, Susan. So I manage a team of 15 people, and a lot of those people would be based in our 27 branches throughout the city and county. So that's my current role at the moment.
Perfect.
Hi everyone, my name is Noreen Walsh, and what Una forgot to mention is we joined the bank together on the 28th of June in 1999. I'm the senior branch manager of the South Mall branch in the South Mall in Cork, and I manage 6 locations across the city and suburbs, and with a team of about 50 people. I've lucky enough that in the 21 years I have been in the bank, I've covered 6 different roles across 3 to 4 different departments. So it has been a career. I never thought, though, when I did leave and graduate from UL, that I'd be with the one organisation for this length of time, but I must say it has been very enjoyable.
Hi everyone, my name is Anne-Marie Collins. I'm the spring chicken of the group, only 15 years in AIB coming up this November. Like the rest, I've worked in a variety of roles in AIB, but most recently now for the past 3 and a bit years, I am a head of homes, covering Cork City, Cork South and West. So covering, I suppose, primarily the mortgages in 16 of the 27 branches that we have in Cork. And I can only do that through a fantastic team that I have of 16 homes and mortgage advisors, 10 of which report directly into me. And I suppose of all the roles that I've done in AIB, I have found this the most rewarding, because all of my team, they get the real joy out of being able to deliver somebody with their dream of their home, building their home, buying their home, their second home, their holiday home. Don't know if anyone ever had a dream of owning a rental property, but we'll also do that. But they get such joy out of being able to deliver people's dreams in that area, and then I get the kick out of that as well. So of all my roles, I'm really enjoying this.
Well, thank you. And little did I know that you two would be getting the key at the door this year. 21 years, I have to say. Well done. The Oil of Eula is working fantastically well in Cork. I'll have to come home. So I have just, I just picked up my phone in between these, these 2 parts of the session, and my phone is exploding here with what's going on Twitter. So please, 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 please do keep them coming. We really will get back to all of you, and of course, send in your questions. That's ultimately what we're here to do. Una, I'd like to start with you. Yeah. So during the last part of what I spoke about the area of pensions. Yeah. It's often an area people are just completely overwhelmed by loads of jargon, and I was even doing part of it there myself. But if somebody doesn't have a pension scheme in work, yes, what can or how can AIB help when it comes to planning for your retirement?
Yeah, so look, you can make pensions as simple really or as complex as you want to make them. And I suppose you really hit the nail on the head when you said the government have brought out a scheme a number of years ago. So if you don't have a pension in your employment, you can take out what's called a PRSA, which is like a long-term savings plan, whereas you said you get tax relief on the premiums. And what's really, really good about this PRSA, it's called, is that if you move from one job, we'll say, to another, or from one employment to another, you can actually transfer that from one employment to another. So it's really, really good because you can bring it with you from place to place. So that's really the most simple type of pension you could do within, we'll say, employment if you don't have a scheme provided by your employer.
And Noreen, I'm just going to go to you next, because people, when it comes to pensions, they are going to have to take care of that themselves. Particularly, I completely agree, the PRSA is a great idea. It's actually very good as well for the self-employed. But the thing is that what about if people are in a business and maybe they need to look after their own staff and they're worried about, you know, funding pensions and so on? What sort of business supports are available in AIB for business customers now?
So if I might steer it away from the pension side in terms of supports.
Just on the business support side, I'd be particularly interested in.
COVID has hit businesses very, very hard. And one of the first things we did as a bank, we were no different to any other business. We had to react really, really quickly. And the government called it out very, very early on here that we were one of the essential services. So our first priority as a bank was to keep our 205 branches open across ROI, because we're an integral part of the community and the government were very clear. So we succeeded in doing that. And I won't lie, as I said, I'm managing 6 branches, and there were times it was very, very hard, because our staff are no different to you and your teams and your staff. They were faced with a lot of personal issues with regard to childcare, vulnerable parents and vulnerable people. So resourcing and staffing was an issue. So it was a job really well done by the branch managers in keeping the branches open. The second thing then that came on really fast, be it whether you're a business customer, a personal customer, a mortgage customer, was payment breaks, because lots of people were now out of work. So we worked very quickly in conjunction with the government and all the other banks as well in putting payment breaks in place for all those customers. And we put nearly 50,000 payment breaks in place for the first 3 months. And as soon as that was over, because again, everyone was feeling their way through this, starting with the government all around the world, we then had to put second payment breaks in place for customers. So that was our next real big priority. And then since then, and you probably hear it on the news and the media at the moment, the government then have worked with the Strategic Banking Corporation of Ireland in putting in place a number of funds. And the most recent one that, as I said, you'd hear in the media is the Credit Guarantee Scheme. And that Credit Guarantee Scheme is, guys, you're never going to get rates as good as this. And in my 21 years, as I've highlighted earlier, you're not going to get rates as good as this. Like, the rates on the Credit Guarantee Scheme is 2.75%. There is a slightly extra charge as well for availing of the scheme, but you're talking about just over 3% for loans of between 10,000 and $1 million, with no security up to 250,000. So that's the most recent fund that has been launched. Prior to that, there was another fund, again, with the Strategic Banking Corporation of Ireland, and it's called the Future Growth Loan Fund. That's just for bigger loans, up to 3 million, but again, no security for up to $500,000 this time, as against the 250, and it's a slightly longer term loan. So that just gives you a sense, I suppose, in terms of businesses or individuals who are looking for payment breaks, those options that were available and are available, and then for businesses who are looking for finance for support, whether it is expansion or restructuring or whatever it is. There are plenty of offers on the table there, and options and solutions at very, very keen rates.
Well, I think that it's important that people are aware that these are aware. I mean, the Strategic Banking Corporation of Ireland, I know that they have worked really hard to try to get that message out there. And in order to simply make the point that if you go into your bank and you're getting a loan, is that if you mention the Strategic Banking Corporation of Ireland, you could automatically, well, when I say automatically, you could request a lower cost of borrowing. At this point, if I could, I'd like to just run maybe another poll. And it would just be great to hear from the audience. I'd just like to hear, what is your greatest financial concern? And it'd be great, since we have 3 people who come from a variety of different areas, it would be really great just to hear exactly what is your greatest financial concern. So is it your mortgage? And Marie, I'm going to come to you on that anyway, is that if people are worried about their home loan, what should they do? But just as we're going to see exactly what people are saying here, the other thing that we'd like to know is, are you worried about your income or the future of your business? Because also as well, we are aware, of course, that while there is a decline in economic activity, there actually isn't a decline in income tax receipts. And you may have heard already today that the Minister for Finance said there will not be an increase in income tax, in PAYE, PRSI, or the universal social charge. Is it about household expenses? Like I mentioned there, consumerhelp.ie can help you out with that. Is it, alternatively, is it the way in which you communicate about finances? Is that really it? Or is it maybe even, in fact, Una, people might, I often say when I talk to people about pensions, they go, oh, I meant to get around to that, please. And then they feel guilty that they haven't and then put it off again. So we'd just like to hear, okay, right, there's a very, very clear winner appearing on my screen here right now. A very, very clear winner, but I'm just going to wait and see. Okay, yeah, that possibly what I thought. But I'm just going to give you the results first, and then Anne-Marie, I'm going to go to you. So 12% of you said you're worried about your mortgage, 46% of you, 46% have said you're worried about your income, either to do with your job or your business. 8% of you said paying the bills. 23% of you said getting around things. I might put that question to you later on is, you know, what motivation or what tangible steps could people do? And then finally, communication about money. I'll tell you, I think that's a secret hidden issue. Secret and hidden are the same word, but it is. And I only found that out when it came to the show that I presented a week ago around how to talk to your kids about money. Is communication about money is a really big issue. But let's deal, first of all, Anne-Marie, 12% of people saying they're worried about the mortgage. Let's say they're AIB customers. Even if they're not, what should they do?
Susan, I think you said it yourself in another context there earlier when you were talking around engaging early with the bank. You know, you said come to them and talk to them. So I think every bank would say that to customers. If you're worried about something, come to us and talk to us. You know, we're all human beings. You'll get to deal with a human being who will want to be able to help you along this way. So engaging early, talking to your bank, and then depending on it, then in AIB, we would give a range of options to customers. My own team, who would be in branches, would look at stuff like it might be just a BAU, a business as usual request, we might call it. You might want, you know, to take a break on your mortgage for a very normal reason. Typically something could be maybe you want to take a bit of enhanced maternity leave or something like that. My team would deal with that on a regular basis for people. Then if people are more worried about it being a longer term thing, maybe because of COVID and there's a bit more of an impact, the bank has put a lot of resources aside so that we have a dedicated team that are actually there to talk to you, engage with you, give you as much time as you need to be able then to figure out what is the best solution for you, whether it's a short-term solution, a medium-term solution, or a long-term solution. And there could be a range of things, Susan. It could be, you know, it could be a small break in the mortgage repayments. It could be going into interest only for a period of time. It could be part interest only, part capital maybe. Or else maybe even looking at extending the term of the mortgage so that the repayments are reduced. So ultimately what the bank will try and do is work with you to see what is the best solution possible for you so that ultimately we're trying to get you back into the best position possible long term. So I would say engage early and then make sure that you engage with us throughout the process and we'll be there to help.
Well, I think that's very sage advice, and that applies to any loan, I presume. That would be, well, in fact, if the camera just had caught everyone there, everyone was nodding here, and that is that early engagement matters. But Una, I'd like to go back to you because 46% of people are worried about their income, and we don't know whether that might be from a business or whether it might be from a job. But in particular, when businesses are looking at financial planning, what do you think they need to be thinking about? What do you see all the time? What advice would you give to them?
So I suppose what we see all the time on the ground, I suppose, particularly with, say, self-employed people, is that sometimes you need to kind of take a step back and actually realise you are the brains behind the business. And as you said, if you could make 4 of yourself, what much more could you do? And it's really, I suppose, if anything, God forbid, were to happen, you or to happen a key employee, how would that business continue to operate financially? And I suppose, so that's why we would give a lot of advice in terms of, we'll say, looking at income protection, looking at serious illness. If you were sick, God forbid, or you had a key employee that was sick, kind of would you have a moral obligation that you'd have to fund the finances for that particular family? So a lot of what we do is just really give advice to customers around how can you, take money out of your company, we'll say, in a tax efficient manner, like the pensions we spoke about, but also just talk about yourself as the business owner in terms of protecting yourself and protecting your business going forward. And particularly when you get to the age of 60 and 70 and you want to be able to step out of that business, how can that business keep sustaining at the same level if you're gone from it? So that's kind of, I suppose, what a lot of our team would do, is give advice around how you can tax efficiently do that and protect the business at the same time.
I think, Una, I think some people might be surprised to hear that they'd never think of going to the bank to hear how to take money tax efficiently out of their business. I think it's a very important point. Like, I was in with my own accountant this week and we were talking about a couple of things and he said, you know, Susan, please do remember the entrepreneurship relief, for example, that any entrepreneur can take. If they sell their business, they can actually get up to €1 million at a very low tax basis. But of course, then it has to be sold. And a lot of people don't think actually about, well, what if I was to sell my business? So that all of that is something that people could come and talk to the bank about.
Absolutely, and I suppose the team that we have working in this particular area they're all qualified. So they've all done their exams, they're all, you know, QFA'd at a minimum. and a lot of them have a lot more qualifications than that. So they're very qualified in terms of giving that type of advice. And I suppose, as you said, you don't really expect it when you go into a bank, because you think of, we borrow money, we save money, but actually there's a lot more to it. So, and it's great that we have people in most locations to be able to give that advice.
Well, now I'm going to ask a question that relates to the communication about money. Are you simply out to catch business owners out and try to find ways in which you can find ways not to lend money to them? Is that the way it is? Because sometimes people have that perception, and maybe, Noreen, I think you're the woman to sort that out. Is that really, because people are afraid of coming in, and also they're afraid of not knowing, like, what does APR mean versus AER mean versus terms versus conditions versus blah, 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 blah. Like, tell people really what it's like from your side of the table.
We're no different to any other business that Susan described earlier. We have to generate revenue, we take off our costs, and we generate a profit. So when we're looking at generating our revenue and looking at our costs, what generates revenue for us is primarily two lines. One is the fees and the charges on your accounts, and the second is loans, whether it is mortgages, whether it is business loans or personal loans. There are two primary sources of income. If we stop lending, we're not going to be generating revenue. So we have got to lend money. Now, we're not going to deny that we're as fluhuluk, I'll call it, as we were back prior to the last crash. Now, yeah, there's criteria and there's policies there, but that's for the safety of Ireland, the economy, and our customers. So we lend very, very sensibly, making sure that customers don't get in over their head with regard to it. But we've got to lend. That's our primary source of income here. So if we don't lend money, we're no different to any of your businesses when you define what your sources of revenue are.
And Noreen, staying with you, like, how has AIB changed its business model? Like, has it had to pivot like I had to pivot, and like Margaret had to pivot with VE Studios? How has that? How does that work?
Our model has completely changed. So even though our branches, our 205 branches are open around the country, we've got over 9,000 staff, and 7,000 of those now are working remotely from home. There's 2,000 also based in departments and branches around the country. So our business has turned on its head, really, as such, because our footfall back into the branches, it's back up to about 70–80% of what it was prior or pre-COVID times. So our customers are adapting in line with how we've adapted. So we're no different to you and your businesses. We're dealing with customers online, we're dealing with customers through conference call, through video conferencing, and we are actually still meeting customers, but we've a very controlled environment now in our branches where customers are called the day before, making sure asked 5 specific questions when they come in. There is the screen in each office, and there's hand sanitizers, there's a tracing sheet to be completed. No different to this studio when we all came in here this evening, extremely professional, everything covered off, we're the same. And our customers have just adapted to the changing environment, and when they need to be met, we will go out to meet with them. Again, all guidelines followed, or they will come in to meet with us, but all guideline followed as well. And to be honest, I am actually really glad to say our level of mortgage lending and our level of business lending has really come back to pre-COVID levels, and we're not seeing it. So there are certain sectors that are extremely hard hit, and we're not taking away from those. But there's a lot of other sectors that are doing more than good and are doing extremely good. So we're very happy with the level of lending that has come back up to in both business and mortgage lending.
And Susan, I might just come in there because really I have to say for my team in the mortgage side of the house, like very much open for business, and you might say strangely, we've seen a really big increase in demand for mortgages since COVID has hit, you know. And our team has had to adapt to a lot. We're seeing that the customer's preference really has changed to, you know, more of maybe a phone appointment they'd like, you know, they're using our online channel as well that we have, but maybe using the phone appointment with our team, you know, we're doing a lot more of emailing out what's required, getting it back in then through our new mortgage app that we have. The customers can upload their documents themselves. So it eliminates that bit of, you know, touch points, extra top point that people might be worried about in terms of COVID perspective. So the guys have had to adapt to more of a phone and an online environment as well, instead of maybe that face-to-face. We still will do face-to-faces, obviously, and very happy to do it. But I suppose to say to people that we'll also do it with you from the comfort of your own home as well, besides you having to come into a branch to us.
Well, I'm going to stay with you for a moment, Anne-Marie, because I learned a lot on the drive down today. For a start, actually, this resonates or is quite similar to the numbers that came in the poll. Is that at the moment 2/3 of all Irish businesses are back to pre-COVID capacity. Now that's capacity, and nearly all companies or nearly all businesses are open again in some way, shape, or form. But I also heard. And let it never be said that I don't ask the hard questions. I also heard that there is a slew of new fixed mortgage rates available this week from AIB. Yeah. Now, is that only available for new customers, or is that going to be extended to existing as well?
Susan, excellent question. Being an AIB mortgage customer myself, right, and we do have a good share of the, I suppose, the mortgage market. So I'd imagine there's people in the audience here who are AIB customers wondering, can I avail of these good rates that we have, fixed rates? And absolutely yes. I'm delighted that AIB's proposition has really always been in the last few years to make sure that we give it to the existing customers as well as the new customers. We like to reward the customers, the loyalty that they show us by having their mortgage with us. So if you're an AIB customer and you're on a variable rate and you want to look at some of our attractive fixed rates, go online, have a look at it, you'll see it there, so that you'll be able to avail of them, you know. And our headline rate, I suppose, would be on the back of what we're seeing, that a lot of customers now have chosen, actually when they draw down their mortgage, about 80% of them are choosing to go with a fixed rate. And they seem to be going into that more of a space of a longer term fixed rate. So more into that 5-year space where they want to just lock in the value that they're seeing at the moment in terms of the interest rate. So I suppose our 5-year rate would be at 2.55. But then last November, just to add to our, I suppose, our green agenda, we did announce a green 5-year fixed rate as well, okay? And that's at 2.45%. So those are customers that might have that their energy rating on their house, their BER rating is anywhere from A1 to B3. So you could get 2.45% of a rate on that 5-year fixed. And then depending then if your loan to value actually is lower, you can go down then another bit on the rate as well. Mm-hmm. So the best rate that we'd have, if a customer, let's say, has their property valued at X amount and then their mortgage is this amount, but it's less than 50% is their loan to value, you're actually looking there at a fixed rate for 5 years at 2.25%, which I think would be a big saving to our existing customers, as well as new customers that we'd hope to attract as well. And we're seeing a lot of activity already from new customers as well.
Well, at this stage, I'd like to just maybe give a summary to people at home who've been tuning in at home. So Una started off by mentioning a PRSA. It's a pension product that's portable. It's not just related to a job. And then we also heard about the business supports that AIB has been offering. For example, they've offered 50,000 payment breaks in the first 3 months. Particularly, if you are applying for lending, ask for the Strategic Banking Corporation of Ireland. It's a hard acronym to remember, but it's worth it. Because that is basically how the government borrows and uses those wholesale rates then to lower your own cost of borrowing at AIB and at other banks as well. Also, if you are feeling, like we heard from 12% of people are worried about the mortgage, number one is engage early. And there's a range of things you can do. Get a mortgage break, you can go on interest only, or also you may need to extend the value of the mortgage. Specifically when it comes to what people who are self-employed need to do to engage the bank, they need to potentially look at income protection, critical illness, and just as Una said, the bank will talk to you about taking money tax-free and efficiently out of the business. Noreen told us about how AIB had adapted like any other business, and she says if AIB doesn't lend, well then it won't survive. And she also told us about that 7,000 of the 9,000 staff are now working from home and that they've had to adapt to the way in which we're all having to adapt. And then also we heard from Anne-Marie, who told us that there's an awful lot more interactivity happening with the bank now through email and phone and so on. And then she also said that the rates available are now available also. The new rates available are for both customers, new and existing. So at this stage, I am going to say a huge, huge thank you so much to everybody at home A massive thank you to Marguerite and Margaret who have made this evening happen. Of course, we always are so happy to, across the board, anybody from Cork knows who Marymount is. Unfortunately, we all know somebody that has been there, but is also very fortunate to say that they've taken great care. And an absolute, truly, every best wish to everybody at home. But now, I'm now going to invite Marguerite to come back and to close our session tonight.
What a fantastic panel, fantastic speaker. It's absolutely fantastic to be here. I had takeaways. I said to you earlier, I had a book, I was ready for my takeaways. I'm glad this session is recorded because there's so much that I have in my head right now that we need to, take in, absorb, and it really has helped me consider what money matters in my life personally, in my future business life. So fantastic. It's just been an energizing, engaging session tonight. So as I wrap up, I just would like to take a time to just say a few thank yous and to talk about some upcoming events for Network Cork. So as you can see and heard and saw earlier with the video, there's a fantastic team here. First of all, I'd like to thank Margaret O'Regan for doing MC. When I asked her to do it, she stepped up and no problem. And the production team here for VE Studios Cork, it's a fantastic studio. To the supporting team here, we have Jenny here, we have Elena here, we have Michael, Thomas and more. And it's just a fantastic offering to have in Cork, and we're delighted to have it. To our panelists behind me, they have just really, it's been brilliant that we have been able to meet in person, keeping our social distancing, but to put faces behind each of these key areas for us and our support in AIB. So thank you to Noreen, Anne-Marie and Una for your positive contribution, advice and giving us all your time tonight as well. You heard the PIPs earlier. It's never easy to do a PIP in person. So Liz Galvin, Karen O'Brien, Anya McLaughlin, thank you for stepping up and for sharing really interesting businesses as well. It's been fantastic. As always, we want to thank our sponsors who are AIB in partnership tonight, but also in Leo who are in the background, and also our sponsors keeping us going. They're backing us for the year, so we're delighted to have you on board. As ever, there's a huge committee that goes behind the work here, and I want to thank the committee for helping pulling this event together. And there's a lot of hard work that goes, and it's a voluntary committee, so thank you very much, each and every one of you. A call to action. It's a very good team to be on. So September time is the time we kind of start looking at what we do for next year and plan ahead. And so if anyone is interested in joining the committee, please contact me. Very, very rewarding. It is lots of fun. And if you're interested in doing it, please contact me. I want to thank you, our members and our guests online, for engaging with us tonight, asking really good questions, engaging in the polls. It made it really interactive, and I hope you got a lot of takeaways. And finally, our speaker, Susan, I'd like to thank you so much. I have a gift for you for social distancing. I'm going to give it to you later. It's sponsored by one of our members. Aww. Up she rises, and we think you rise. Up, Susan. Thank you so much, Susan, I'll hand that over to Susan later. And so thank you for that. Just finally, on just some dates for the diary, we have our Network Ireland conference on the 2nd of October. So please sign up for that. Tickets are online. And we will be there to support our winners for our Network Cork Awards. And then the next event in October will be our network. It's going to be an event that I'm actually thinking of using an algorithm for. It's going to be a leaders-led peer mentoring session for our members. We'll have a leader from different organizations, and with Susan's help, we might use an algorithm just to team up who goes with who, but it's going to be really exciting. It's our event in October. So for now, for me, I'm going to hand back to Margaret and to close the event. So thank you again, and thank you for your support, and hope you enjoyed this evening.
Wow, what an insightful evening. Thanks again to Marguerite and all the Network Cork members for your continued support through these tough times. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to MC tonight and to show off VE Studio Cork. We hope you can all come and use our studio at some stage. The events industry really does need your support, so please spread the word. Can I wrap up this evening with a couple of requests? Where possible, let's help one another to get through this time. Ask yourself, is there anything you can do to help even one person? We can do this by helping someone complete an application form or promoting each other's businesses and shopping and supporting local. And in the words of Brezzy, let's be kind and be sound. Good evening and good night.
Let today be a good day. Let me give it my all. Let the shutters up and the customers in. Let me learn to let go, to trust. Let me know when to pull back and when to push on. Let the staff know they're valued.
It's great work.
I couldn't do it without them. Let the kids know I'll be home for bedtime. Right. Let's take that risk. Let's really go for it now. Let's be proud of what we've done. Okay, let's get to work.
It takes a certain kind of brave to run a business. We see it, we back it.